Manbulela kakhulu chairperson of the session and of the board. Besi shiyene sisithi sizawubuya exactly at 4 o'clock. And I think it's appropriate that noko xa sesilivumele ixesha liyofika ku 4:10, sikhawuleze senze sizogqibezela le panel to allow for more time to be given to the next panel, because this is not the only panel. So at the time before we went to lunch, Chair, we had an outline presentation by the district municipality on infrastructure investment that cuts across on how we plan to invest the conditional grant that the bulk infrastructure conditional grants that we get from National Treasury. And then after that, we listened to an input on how we are going to be piloting a change and a transformation in the land tenure system using the Ngocha Kumango settlement of a land claim. And then Mamundu Dane came here and took us through the Well-Full program, which in essence is promising quite significant investment for us as this particular district. Zimbalwa kakhulu into esishota ngazo sodolophu in order to make this vision yet development. Sizame ukusondela kakhulu ekuvezeni amathuba emisebenzi for abantu bakuthi, sidilishane nenhlupheko, siphinde sidilishane nokuphakamisa abantu generally, sivale le gap ye inequality esisokolisayo. Now there are some of the proposals that have been made, Mr. George. Minister, when he stood here, spoke of the approach by the department through its agencies on blended finance, and how we ought to take advantage of these opportunities in order to be able to make some of these projects that we are talking about to be realizable. Diafuna ke invite Mr. Masholo kuqala kunawo Mr. George. I started through the opportunities from a DTIC perspective, and then emven koko sithathe your input, sikwazi ukuthi wrap up the nexus, because there is a real opportunity in terms of realizing that we're actually the masters of our own faith. That in the sense that if as a province we're spending 6 billion on food, and bulk of that food comes from outside the province, there's nothing that stops us from creating opportunities to infuse investment in this district as a food basket. Because here, as shorting amans, we may have a plan around how do we overcome the energy issues. There's significant investment on road infrastructure through Sanral and the district municipality. And indeed, there are other opportunities around BFI that we can explore in terms of extending the trade links and linking the areas where there's agricultural production to markets. So it's not necessarily an economic infrastructure limitation, but it's how we get to raise money to address the issues of economic infrastructure. And this is what I want us to talk to. So Mr. Masholok, without wasting time, Manduk Telepel, Nogo, you're not a stranger here. I'm sure you're not a stranger here. Yeah, you left after I left. Please give him a round of applause.
Program Director, thank you. All protocol observed. I knew that among us is our leadership of the district municipality, leadership of the province, and leadership of the country at large. National ministers were among us, and traditional leadership of this district municipality. Province, district Kachonyane, the CRISAN. I'm here today representing the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. But I wasn't born a program yapa. I'm what is called the technical advisor on the critical program industrial development that have two key programs that are very important: the Special Economic Zones program and the Industrial Parks program. Why we are happy to be here today is because Christian municipality, like Mr. Mhlaba have said in the beginning, by the year 2014-2015, have done a lot of work around realizing an SZ in this area. Studies have been done, feasibility studies have been done, and everything, even master plans were done to come to that realization. But because of the change that happened within the DTIC at that time, because we will understand that the province here to Eastern Cape have the Kucha, have the East London IDZ, and there was a proposal for the Wild Coast SZ. Koda Krisani, we want to invest in this region. Focus for now on the industrial park program to make sure that now we are gearing ourselves up for further looking at this dream that we are having. So luckily, we are part, Abantu Christian CHTA, they will understand that we are working with them. And the program in industrial parks, the program in Gulu within the DTIC, because in the country we have about 7-8 industrial parks, with the majority in KZN, following the Gauteng, and the Eastern Cape is the third in terms of industrial parks. And in these industrial parks, the Komani Industrial Park is the only one actually in the country that is run by a municipal agency. So it is because of your brilliance in this region to make sure that actually we are owning your economic asset, in which we have the leverage, because now decision making on how to make this park actually a center of excellence is within this region. You don't rely on the province, because most of them in the country now, in the province, are owned by the ECDC. It's one of our own, but it's a provincial entity. You will know within the program, we are actually supporting on infrastructure development, but the factories to renovate factories, we call it investment infrastructure, where we expect the municipalities, when they are planning their water, when you are planning your park infrastructure, you must also plan for the industrial park as well. Because land industrial development, it can never be a program of a department. It's supposed to be a collaboration of all the spheres of government, which is province, which is the municipality, and also the national department. That has been seen, for example, currently with the water SZ, where the province is coming on board to fund some of the investments that are currently happening there. So that program, industrial parks, for industrial park, for example, there's an amount of about 50 million rand a year that you have to apply for. They are doing the applications, and when the applications are not right, we come in actually to assist you. So also linked to the industrial parks is a program called the Digital House program. It's a sub-program within the industrial parks, because we are saying that there is for HR now, there is also in digital economy. That's actually the key to what is happening in everything that we're doing. And we're saying that these assets, like the industrial parks, are closer to the townships, are closer to our people. So let's use them as centers of digital transformation. And with that program as well, is a sub-program that we're running with the small business, where CEDA, for example, will come on board when implementing industrial digital hub with the operational capital. DTIC will come in and put money actually in the infrastructure. If maybe there's a building that needs to be renovated, there is furniture that needs to be bought, we'll come in on board and actually work there. One of the examples is Koyongogu, is Cebu Chabelo in the Free State. Last year we organized a trip where the district delegation actually goes there to see what is happening there. The Timbaza one now is actually in the cards. Executive Mayor Ikrisani Digital Hub was approved by this province actually as one of the key hubs that need to be taken up. But now we need to make all efforts to make sure that actually that thing is realized. Sing overtake Kabanyaband, because once we are still dealing about what to do, other people will come on board and then Baza found out because they're coming with actual viable concepts. So those are the two programs that I'm saying that. So, Program Director, I'm saying that the SZ program, we need really in time to rethink about how do we reignite actually that thing now, because we were saying that special economic zone is not supposed to be actually a piece of land. It's supposed to actually to be a regional special economic zone, where in this area, the executive mayor, if there is a ferry that want to locate in Queensland, for example, today, but not within the industrial park because of another reasons, but we can still come to the DIC, you can support that ferry as well. Because we want to create actually industrial corridors, not industrial sites. That's the key of the message I want to give you today. So we are available, and within that program of the DIC, there's something called the National PMU, which I'm working for as a technical advisor. So what we are doing there, we are hand-holding actually our clients, which is actually the districts, which is actually the province. So when there is something that to be done, we dive in, understand what are the problems that are currently there. If we need to have a certain application, we even assist you to apply. That thing of a mother-child relationship between the DIC and the regions is not working. We are all in the same government, and we have all to work together. Thank you very much, Program Director.
Siyabulela kakhulu phela. Mahle. Khatem. So sondela khatem. Imali ayixoxisi kakhulu man. Wovela uthi qaba qaba nje. Utsho nje uzawushiya mali.
Okay, thank you very much. The MECs, the ministers that are present with us, Minister of Small Business Development, Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, the MEC Mvoko. I know he's around, even if I can't see him. The mayors of the district municipalities, the executive mayors of the district municipalities, the leaders of traditional councils that are present, the head of State Department and CEOs of state entities, all protocol are, observed. My part is, Ubabs Uti, getting to the funding part is an easy one. It should be an easy one. But I think there's a lot of building blocks that have been put together. It is true that the Eastern Cape get bypassed by, I work for the programs dealing with investment that is attracted into the province, but I also work with companies that seeks opportunities to export. So I know the thinking of both, and I've interacted with the concerns that they usually raise. When you are a financier, because I work for a financing institution, they are usually the financing institutions, whether they are purely private banking institutions or development finance institution, which is state institution, they would start by saying, show me the feasibility of this enterprise. Meaning, it presupposes that you have already spent money in research, collecting data, and you have already engaged specialists to design what you want to develop in your initiative. That presupposes that. But I think that is the most difficult component because most of the time you would really struggle to get someone who's going to finance you with respect to that. Because financing that component that deals with the research, designs, technical studies, whether it's a geotech, site development plan, it doesn't necessarily give you an immediate revenue generation. It may take another 2 to 3 years to start making your first cent. So most of the financing institutions would run away from that, but it's what they need to take a financing decision. And secondly, what they would do, they would say, what is your skin in the game? That's the language that they use. How much are you putting from your own pocket? And we know, from especially the majority black community, you hardly have got enough savings, to say this is, no matter how brilliant your concept is, you hardly have the money in your pocket. And thirdly, they would say, show me the competence and the experience of the jockey or someone who's going to be running the operations. That means you or your partner, you can partner with someone who's got more experience than you, and you use that profile to show that there is enough skill and competence and experience to run this. And fourthly, which is very important, which we normally, which market are you serving? And why do you think you are worth a player that would make a mark in that market that you want to serve? Those are the components of a feasibility, a business plan informed by a feasibility research. But the process of getting to a final feasibility starts with pre-feasibility. Pre-feasibility is something that you can do in your office, a desktop exercise. Basically what it says is that I want to develop a mall here. What I can do, I'll look at the stats to say how many households are here, what is the population size, what is the buying power of the population here in terms of the disposable income of this household, and you look at the past 3 years to look at what has been the consumption pattern of the household. Then that whole information will give you whether there is a business case to pursue, which is you have done your pre-feasibility study. But the biggest cost goes to the feasibility because it's the most costly part, because that's where you hire technical designers, your tech service and all of that. But you must have had the information from the pre-feasibility study, which is the desktop exercise. You can get that information from our custom SARS. You can get a lot of information from our research institute. But then it's very risky to fund the component of the feasibility component because of the poor infrastructure most of the time. You're able to go through all of that, and then we are informed that in order for you to invest 100 million rands, it would take you more than 10 years to recover your investment. Because one, you still have to deal with the cost of augmenting your electricity supply, which is in a poor condition. Your water supply, you see what I mean? And your investment may not take place. And therefore, at the end of the day, it will tell you, after spending all of your hard-earned cash, it may tell you that your investment is not going to be feasible in terms of the numbers that we are seeing. But I think it's not all lost. Mercedes-Benz, for an example, would tell you that because the infrastructure in the Port of East London is not deep enough, is not wide enough, they are spending more than $400 a 40-foot container to get their components. As opposed to if they were located in KZN or in PE, they would save more than $400 less per 40-foot container. Because to get to East London Port, you can't have this big vessel that come from Europe with their components docking in here, because the draft is about 12 meters, and they need about 15, 17 meters. And the width is not enough for them to turn. Meaning they have to go to PE, to Kucha, the deep port, and break the cargo into smaller vessels that now would fit into the East London port. That is very costly. And for many years, we know we've been pleading with Transnet and other enterprises. I like the Nexus discussion that we're talking about. It's not only the responsibility of you as an investor or a financier to make sure that we get enough investment into the Eastern Cape and get it. So Mercedes-Benz has been enduring the loss of money through additional cost of getting inputs and components into East London because the port is not deep and wide enough. So this is just an example. But the Eastern Cape government, I'm sorry that the MEC is not here now, are putting an instrument called the Eastern Cape Investment Fund, which is directed to be administered by the ECDC. Initially, the fund, as it was designed initially, was purely debt with various portfolios that are targeting various enterprises in various sectors and the different size of enterprises. But it didn't have the components of patient capital. But thanks be it to the board of the ECDC and the executive management, they interacted with the stakeholders that are national and provincial that are working to design that instrument. And they insisted that there should be a component that take care of the feasibility research part of funding, so that you don't forgo the investment opportunity because no one is putting the patient capital of the feasibility, the technical study design, and all of that. If you look at the performance of KZN with respect to the Black Industrialist Fund, they even surpassed Gauteng. KZN surpassed Western Cape. Why? They have been having that instrument. ECDC used to have it. It used to be called risk capital. But I'm glad that the board and the executive management of the CDC have approved that that instrument be re-established. It's been re-established. It's resourced. Human resources have been appointed to deal with that component, because that's the component that enables investors to take an investment decision, that enables funders to take a funding decision. Recently, I was called in fact, I got market intelligence information from our consulate in New York that says, you know, Paki, I know that the Western Cape is not the major producer of citrus. Someone was talking about the citrus here. But big buyers from the USA are going to be landing in South Africa, but they're only going to the Western Cape. Can you go and meet them? When I met them, they told me that they've just received 15 shiploads of citrus, but from the port in Cape Town. And I showed them the map of South Africa and the volumes that are produced by Limpopo in the Eastern Cape alone. The Western Cape is not a major producer of citrus, but they're exporting to US through a port of Delaware. You saw them. When I showed them, they were so angry because the Western Cape never indicated that they're getting citrus from other provinces, meaning this citrus could have been shipped out of the port of East London, out of the port of Port Elizabeth. But it's great that now they know we're working on a plan to divert I'm hopeful that the citrus farmers in the Eastern Cape will be united so that we can get, and I'm glad that we were launching this morning a pack house. One of the most important component in the export trade is the volumes that you can produce. And the volume come by consolidation or aggregation of a number of farmers into a point where you can negotiate with the buyers, to supply to. So I think those are very important, because now the importers from the USA that are importing through the port of Delaware can then negotiate with the pack houses. But infrastructure, the state of infrastructure is going to be very important in terms of roads, the irrigation. Mr. was talking about furrow irrigation from dams to our irrigation, irrigation schemes. That has to be dealt with because it increases the cost of producing from the Eastern Cape. And we've seen that with the film fund that ECDC is running, that producers have been complaining that they have to carry equipment because you don't have a film studio here, you have to carry everything, so it's a child cost. So government have to incentivize by saying, I've got an instrument to lower the cost of location in the Eastern Cape in order to get the productions that we are getting. But over the time, if you invest, as the Eastern Cape now, fortunately, is now going to be having a film studio, we will be able now to lower the cost, and it's going to be easy for producers to come and shoot here and produce and do post-production here in the Eastern Cape. So what I'm saying, it's all about infrastructure, but infrastructure is not the responsibility of one entity. All entities, institutions should work together because one fit into the... But coming to the funding instruments, Mr. Masholuku was talking about the IDC has got an instrument called a blended finance for agriculture and agro-processing projects that have consisting of 40% grant and 60% debt funding. That's a very important one because it allows you to structure in your business plan, in your financial model, to have a component that you can put in of funding that is not repayable over a period of time, so that you can put all of the nuts and bolts in place so, to enable the development of your investment. and so that your 60% debt doesn't suffocate your business from the beginning. That's one instrument.